What's going on, everybody? Coach Mike. Welcome to this week's Technique Tuesday. So as promised in the last video, concluding the clean and jerk, or the clean, today I'm going over the jerk. So this is going to be a one video series. We're not going to need a lot of videos to cover the jerk. It's a very simple movement. I'm going to go over split jerk to start with predominantly. Common cues and corrections, faults, stuff like that. Then I'll go into the different variations on the jerk. The power jerk, the push press, the basic. We'll save overhead press for another time, but I'll go through the power jerk and the push press. The split jerk we'll cover predominantly. Maybe we'll throw in a little squat jerk action, see what happens. All right. So starting off with the jerk, right? I'm starting in the rack. Okay. So there's two ways you can do this. If you are an athlete and you are focusing on power production, and that's why you're using the jerk, go from the rack, go from blocks. That's more than okay. If you are a weightlifter and you're practicing the jerk, blocks and all that are great, but typically the jerk is already going to be front racked after the clean because it's the clean and then the jerk. So I've already finished my clean, boom, stood up. Now I'm in the front rack position. I'm going to go into the jerk. Okay. So I'm saying all that because you're typically going to be in your clean grip to start with. Okay, there's some people, so when you stand up in the front rack, you're going to be in that clean grip. Now there's some lifters that like to bump out and get a little wider base. That is completely okay. It's based on your shoulder mobility, your preference, however you like to jerk, but similar approach applies here as we did with the squat when I talked about the stance, right? The narrower we are, the more power we're going to produce, but the less stable we're going to be overhead. The wider we are, the less power we're going to produce, but the more stable and the shorter distance we need to cover than when we're too narrow, right? So this is going to be a game between your mobility, your strength, what you're trying to do, all that stuff, right? So I'm just going to take my normal clean grip. So for me, that's thumbs on the edge of the knurling, wrap my hands around, nice, good clean grip here, okay? Now, I'm just front racking the bar. Elbows are going to be high. Now, there's no weight on this bar. I'm not able to get my elbows all the way up. That's also okay. That's not a mobility issue. Those people that say you should be able to front rack with no weight on the bar, it just doesn't matter. It's not a problem, right? So, from here, I already stood the clean up, right? I'm going to have my elbows nice and high. You are dipping. Now, with this dip, our goal is to dip as vertically as possible so we can drive the bar as vertically as possible. We're going to go slightly behind us, but we're trying to go vertical, right? So when I dip, okay, I'm going to let my knees track forward and I'm going to dip straight down, right? So I'm here, I'm going to knees forward and I'm dipping straight down. Boom, boom, right? That bar, if we're looking at pretending I have a bar, that bar is going to stay in that straight motion. If I dip forward, the bar is going to go forward and then I'm going to drive up and it's going to dump. If I lean back too much, then I'm going to pop myself in the face. Typically, leaning back's not an issue. Typically, people, when they dip, they're dipping here, right? And the bar is dumping forward. So, I'm going to do cues and corrections as I go here. So, a way to fix that is you find a wall or you find a fixed object, okay? I don't have anything good to show you, but let's pretend I'm at a wall, okay? I'm going to put my heels on the wall and then take one half step forward, okay? So I'm still so the wall is still touching my butt, basically. Now, from here, front rack, pretend the front rack, and all you're going to do is feeling that wall behind you, you're going to dip and drive. Dip and drive. Making sure the butt and the shoulders do not lose contact with that wall. That's how we're going to teach our athletes to be able to drive vertically down, vertically up, okay? Once they're good on the wall, you take one step from the wall, so we're fully off the wall, have them practice on air, dip, drive, okay? That's how we fix the collapsing forward or the improper dip and drive position. Now, as far as the dip height, I guess if you want to call it that, how far we're dipping. Roughly 10% of your height, give or take, right? So the only goal here is to be able to stretch the muscles to be able to pop, right? Think of a rubber band. I'm stretching the muscles, letting go. So I'm just dipping enough to be able to counter move and pop that bar up, right? It's gonna be a little bit different for everybody, but roughly about 10%. Boom, boom. Okay? Now, the last piece before we get a bar in our hands here. When we drive the bar, okay, we are aiming for over our shoulders, behind our ears. So it's not up because the bar is going to be forward, right? See that? See where that bar would go? Bar's on my chest. I'm going to dip, punch, back, put my head through the window. All right? So head back, head through the window. If you just focus on that, the bar should go directly over your shoulders. All right? So now, we need to do our jerk, right? So we need to split. The way to find your split is turn around and have somebody push you forward, right? So I turn around, somebody pushes me. Whichever foot pops forward first is a good starting point for your jerk, right? If that feels unnatural, then we adjust from there, but that's typically a good way to assess your dominant foot going forward, all right? Now, to nip this in the butt now, you do not need to train alternating your legs. That is not a thing. That's a myth. That it's just nonsense, right? You do not need to split. If I do 3 split jerks on my left leg, I'll do 3 split jerks on my right leg. Okay, that's just not how this works. So, pick your dominant leg, have somebody push you forward. Boom, I step there. That's your front leg. All right? So, easiest way to teach somebody a split is have them just get into a lunge position, right? Take 1 step forward, 1 step back, and we're roughly in a lunge position. If I were to drop my knee straight down, which I'm not warmed up right now, so I'm not gonna do all that. But if I were to drop my knee straight down, I should literally go straight and holding this position, and I'm nice and balanced through both feet. Okay. Now, when we split, it should be back foot strikes first, front foot strikes second by milliseconds. Right? I'm not saying it's a step. It is a fraction of a second, but think about what we're doing. We are jumping underneath the bar, right? I'm dipping and jumping, and I'm going to get my back foot back, and I'm going to plant off that foot to step into my front foot, okay? So I need my back foot to strike, so I'm able to push and step to accept that weight that's coming down on top of me, all right? So that's how we're going to split. I know I'm going fast, but I'm going to show you with the bar, and then I'm going to show you a few drills we can do to help work that split, all right? So, bars on my chest. I just stood my clean up. I like to pop my feet a little bit wider, take a fraction of a step wider, just so I have a wider base of stability here. All I'm going to do is I'm going to dip vertically, right? And if you notice, that bar kind of floated off me. With weight, that shouldn't happen, but also it shouldn't happen with the barbell. That's on me. I want to stay connected to this bar because if it floats, and I'm starting to come up, I'm fighting that bar. So I stay connected, right? So dip, punch, bar's already popping up off my shoulders, right? So dip, punch, and split. Notice my back foot struck first, my front foot came through, and I'm in a nice split position, okay? Step forward, step back, step forward. Bar's up over my shoulders, and I can bring that right back down. Now, when we split, okay, we want to have a slight bend to our knee, to our back knee. There's a few schools of thought here. Okay, I'm gonna stop there. So a few schools of thought. We can have a bent back knee, and we're lowering into the lunge to get that jerk more. All right, that's one school of thought. Or you're just splitting wide, right? So I'm here, boom, I'm going wide, and I'm staying straight with this leg. That's going to allow me to get low enough, but also give me that base of stability that I need. That's the way I prefer to jerk. I prefer to jerk stepping back and out rather than stepping back and dropping into a lunge. That just feels weird to me. So, play around with which one works for you. Technically, the lunge is the textbook, more correct way because you can lower down to save the weight, but if you're doing all that, you're probably not giving the weight anymore. So, a few drills we can do to teach the split. Have your athlete go hands on the hips, okay? Feet in their jerk position. All we're doing is dropping into the split, okay? So, hands on my hips, feet are in my split jerk position. All I'm doing without any counter movement, drop. into that split position. Drop into that split position. We're reinforcing where the feet need to go, the timing of it, and the poppiness of it. Then, once the athlete has that, up on the toes, split and drop. Recover. Up on the toes, split and drop. Recover. Okay? That's how we reinforce that split position. So now, for power jerks. Okay? Power jerks are exactly the same, except we're not splitting. Okay? We are dipping and we are catching in a kind of quarter squat position, just like any other power. So, I'm going to dip, I'm going to pop, but then I'm going to finish by pressing and finishing in that squared base, right? I'm not splitting. So, from here, dip. I still finish with the bar over my shoulders. I'm just finishing in that quarter squat position. I'm not splitting my feet. That is a power jerk. Everything's the same. We're still dipping vertically, making sure we're not dumping that bar. All right? Now for push press, it's the same thing as a power jerk. We're just not finishing under the bar. We're just going to overhead press it from the momentum, right? So I dip my knees. I'm going to dip, pop, and finish pressing. It's just an overhead press with the knee bend. All right? And I am sorry, but we are not going to squat jerk today. That's okay. This channel is for weightlifters and athletes and coaches. So unless you're watching this in China, but then you already know how to squat jerk. So this has been the technique video of the jerk, different variations of the jerk, common faults, common cues and corrections that we need. Make sure you leave a comment in the comments below. Which jerk do you prefer to use? Power jerk, split jerk, push press, stuff like that. Squat jerk if you're a squat jerker. What's been the most beneficial of this video, of all these technique videos? Leave that in the comments below. Anything you want to see me change with the formatting, with the topics, stuff like that. Leave some topics, some techniques, videos you want to see. Also, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, share this channel and video with people that you feel will get benefit from it. Thanks for watching this week's Technique Tuesday. I'm Coach Mike. We'll see you next time.